of you guys are founders, co-founders, CEOs? Hands, please. Okay, half of the people in the place. Great. So my talk is to you. So for everybody else, it's going to be peripheral knowledge. But I know you're working hard, and probably in a basement, eating craft dinner. But you have big dreams. You want to take over the world. You want to disrupt the industry you're in, and you're on it. Wouldn't it be nice if you had a group of people working for you who have deep domain knowledge? They've been in this for decades. They understand the technical details or commercial details deeply. They have this extensive network of people. They can pick up the phone, call the CEOs of companies that you dream of working with. And not only do this for free, but they pay you money to be part of your dream. These are called angel investors. This is where I operate right now with a group of people. But we're a weird bunch. So I want to give you some of the secrets of what angel investors are and how we operate, and how we get excited about companies that we invest in. First, a little bit of a background on how we look at startups. So I broke down to 5 stages of a startup. The part that's typically forgotten about is the pre-company. Before you started your company, when you were thinking about what this company could be, what this idea will be, your strategic planning, your understanding of the marketplace. And this takes quite a bit of time for some people. For me, when I was doing this, it took about a year. And then you establish your company, you have no revenues, and you're looking for your first minimum viable product, MVP. But you also want to understand what the market is, what your business model could be, what the feedback for your business model is. And you start making some money, or starting to get some traction from your customers, maybe some pilots, people who really are excited about you, but want to test the waters a little bit more. You move into your seed stage. And you start getting even some revenue. Some people might start paying you, which really feels good when that money comes in, because up until that point, most probably you're just burning cash, which you don't have too much of. And then finally, you move into your growth phase, if you're successful and if you're lucky, because we know the statistics are against you. But you're brave, you have the motivation, you have the drive, you're going forward. And then finally, if you make it through the growth stage, you move into expansion. Now you add more products into your portfolio, and now scaling up and efficiency becomes the thing, which really typically not too exciting for these early stage founders, but at one point, hopefully, you get there. Now, and your exit opportunities become higher and higher, and your valuation becomes higher as you go through this phase. Now, what are your funding options as you go through these different stages? Obviously, you will need money. Pre-company is a very interesting phase. Like, no investor, even angel investors, will get into that phase very easily, although there's some exceptions to it. The biggest funding options are government grants, early stage incubators and accelerators. These are quite abundant in Canada, as you all well know. Plus, you can use your own funds, you can use some crowdfunding, or your family and friends, people who love you, who trust you, who want to support you. Once you establish the company, pre-seed and seed rounds is where angel investors, as well as some early stage VCs come into picture. Another good opportunity is to link up with corporate incubator, accelerator, or corporate scout agencies. For example, Johnson & Johnson in the medical field that I'm in operates quite extensive in that area, looks at promising startups for them to build up and fund these early stages. And if you make it through this, then the VCs with bigger checks, bigger monies come into picture. You can actually use some of your own funding, your profits, for further growth and expansion. I'm going to talk about angel investors, so that's why I capitalize it, not because angels are any more important than the others on the list. But the magical thing is that hockey stick that we always see in every single pitch, without an exception, kind of happens in this pre-seed and seed round, or the foundation for it happens, and then it just picks up from there. And this is where angels can be very instrumental to you if you know how to deal with them. So what I want to share with you is things I wish I knew when I was talking to angels in 2016, 17, 15, in that range. So first of all, when you go to a group of angels and you pitch to them, only a handful of them will actually invest, if they ever invest in your company. So you have to handpick or identify those who should be your targets. And the other thing is, they will typically get excited. One or two of them will be excited, and they will drive the rest of them with them. So, and they have different motivations, different decision criteria, different ways of deploying their funds. Now, so you're basically talking to a group of people who are really interested in you, but you have to identify the person who's going to drive your cause. So this is a typical way a founder or a CEO pitches. You go to Angel Group A, Maple Leaf Angels being one of them, you pitch to them, you go to Angel Group B, and so on and so forth. It's all repetition of the same thing. But what you don't realize, or I didn't realize at the time, was I should be talking to the individuals who show up to my pitch and do a bit of a background check on them and identify the person who's going to drive my cause going forward. Just to maybe a side story, when I was doing mine, it took me probably about 2 years to find out who the internal advocate in one of the angel groups was for me, and then get close to him. So don't make the mistake I did. Don't spend 2 years until you figure out. Go in that mindset that I need to find the person who's going to be my buddy, my advocate, then they might drive the rest of the people. But then, what are you looking for? And this is what I distilled into. There are 5 types of angels. There are different models out there, but I think 5 is a good number, and it's a good simplified number. The first one is hands-on operator. This is the type of person, and I really identify myself with this. A hands-on operator is someone who has knowledge, who has experience, who's been there, done that, but have not really finished learning. There's so much more to do. We want to put our experience, we want to put our knowledge into good use. We want to help the people. So we take on tasks in the companies that we invest into, additional tasks, either on the board or advisory, or even some of the work that CEO doesn't know how to do or wants someone else to take care of. We're happy to roll up our sleeves and go do it for them. We want engagement with the company. We're not just a check that we write up and give to them. There is a second type, which is more of a financial investor. These are the people who have financial backgrounds typically. They had a career in finance, and when they come in, they're much more driven by return on investment. They're happy to take a passive role, but they will step forward when needed. And they're focused on maximizing their returns. They're financially working to a plan. The third one is more about the domain expert. These people have deep knowledge in their domains. They know a topic really, really well. They're recognized in their field, and they're looking to advance the state of the art, how things work, and they want to be recognized as those people who are innovators, who help things being built. The strategic corporate investor. This played a very important role in my enterprise, so I really want to emphasize this. These are the people who operate in large companies. They're typically very savvy financial background and domain knowledge, both of them. They understand, we don't BS these people. And they understand the strategy of the organization. They're looking for those gems. And there's a bit of an internal competition between them. They want to find the next big thing that the corporation will really cherish. So they want to be that person in the company. And more importantly, they play your mouthpiece inside the organization. They speak for you, they advocate for you. And finally, the philanthropist. If you find this person, that's great. They're not really driven by financial gains. They're not a charity, of course, they're not going to distribute money, but they have an emotional connection to the topic, to the field. So these are the 5 archetypes. So I'm going to pick a few examples directly from my life. 2 of the examples are directly from my life, and one is from another angel that I really respect. So Acumen is a company that I founded. It's a software company in radiotherapy. So we were focused on keeping patients safe during radiotherapy. The background is the intellectual property is completely based in Toronto, developed in Toronto, started at Princess Margaret Hospital, and we took it out there, commercialized. So early on, this is all pre-company, there was one big challenge, or actually 2 big challenges that I faced. One is incumbents in the marketplace. What we were doing is not the first. There were some solutions in the marketplace already. So we had to go head-to-head against those existing companies and replace them. Which is not a big deal. That's what a startup is. But I had no money. And I had no background in this topic. And this is where a big domain expert stepped in. This is a person who's globally recognized in radiotherapy, and he was a big mentor to me, came and talked with me, and then he started putting me in touch with the organizations that are key players in the world. But before he did that, he made sure that I was ready. I could talk the talk, explain the value proposition, understand the customer's concerns and issues at the time. Once he felt that I was ready, he made the introductions, and it was so quick. As soon as he made the introductions, first of all, everybody wanted to listen to me. Before, if I called them, nobody would even return my call. And then one of those corporations took interest in me. So the corporate investor type stepped in, and she was looking at my product, and she said, yeah, this is exactly what we want, this is exactly how we want. And one of the things I learned is if they were to do it internally, it would take them 10 times as long and probably 20 times as much money to do it. So they were willing to give me money up front and immediate market access. Because what they agreed to do is exclusively sell my product to their own market, which was global. So my problem was solved just like this. With one single agreement with this domain expert and the corporate angel, I had my funding result and my market access result. So all we have to do is go back and deliver the product to them. Next thing, of course, is growing those sales. It's fine and dandy when you're making really nice promises. You're showing an early prototype of your product, which looks okay, but it's not commercially ready yet. And this is where the corporate investor really plays a dual role. They're supporting you internally. They're making sure that in that big multi-billion-dollar company, your little, I guess, drop, not even a drop in the bucket, we didn't even make a blip on their financial radar at that point. You don't get forgotten. But also, she was working the phone with me to make sure that the pressure on me and my company was always on. There's a big show coming up. We want these features all built in. They need to be tested. We need to be integrated into this system and that system. Or we want you to integrate into the new product that we're releasing, but we have no APIs for it yet, so you have to figure out how to do it. By the way, the show is in 2 weeks. Be ready. So that level of internal advocate role and the pressure on you on the right direction played a big role. At the same time, with this one company, all our eggs were in one basket. As a CEO, it always gave me the jitters, made me nervous. If this one thing that was working so well didn't work out, what would we do? So there comes another domain expert that I met at a conference, not the same person as the first one. He looked at our product. He was a well-recognized name in radiology. And he said, our product was maybe 95% there for an adjacent market, which was probably hundreds of thousands times the market space that we were in already. He said, you can go in, make these changes. By the way, this is the event to be at. Be ready for it, and go for it. So in 3 months, we made all the changes to the product, went to that event, we secured our first paying customer at that event through his introduction. So it immediately moved me, well, immediately in a few months, moved me into an adjacent market, which also triggered the exit because the first company that invested into us didn't like us to go into an adjacent market, and they came to the table with an offer to buy us, which we sold. The second example I'm going to give is when the tables turned. Now, I sold my company, I exited, did what I needed to do, and I said, you know what, I want to contribute back. And that's when I became an angel investor, just before COVID hit us. And Emerge Connect is one of the companies I invested into. Now I was on the other side of the table. And this is an interesting company. They built a platform to make emergency room experience for patients much better, much more streamlined, and the load on nurses much less. Quite well, but it started by a 21-year-old kid. Well, I'm almost 60 years old, so everybody looks like a kid to me. So he's young, doesn't have much of an experience in the business. Actually, he had no experience in the business. He has this vision, he has this drive to make this Emerge Care a big success. So 4 of us stepped in. So it was myself, 2 financial type archetypes, and 1 domain expert. He's an emergency room doctor himself and one of the department heads in one of the hospitals. So 4 of us would meet with the CEO at least every month. Plus he would call us, he would ask for help, and all that mentorship and all that help, we would go to coffees and we would give him tools, direction, guidance on simpler things. He did the hard stuff. We helped him with the relatively easier parts of business. And he secured his funding, which is about 2.5 times the valuation that he started with. So the round we got in, basically on paper, we made about 2.5 times so far. And he secured funding through our introductions, and now he's off the races. And I really enjoy his monthly updates that all those pipeline companies or pipeline agencies we were talking about now are becoming customers. They're moving from the pipeline table to the paying customer table, which is really satisfying to watch and to see this person kind of grow through this experience. And the last example I'm going to give, I don't have direct experience with this company, but it's a very good friend of mine who took a very early interest in the company. And when I was talking to the CEO, she said, he was there when nobody was listening to us. He was there at 1 phone call away any time of the day. He led 2 funding rounds for the company and basically invested himself, but he brought in lots of funders. So this is one single person who played a significant role in the company, and I kind of put him as a hands-on and philanthropist. I think basically this angel plays every archetype. The feedback from the CEO was also that about the market access. Sometimes they didn't understand the product requirements for that market. And this person stepped in because he has over, 30 years, 40 years of experience in the investment field. So what I want to finish up is, when you're pitching the angels, don't look at them as a few check writers that will give you a little bit of money. Because in the end, we don't write big checks. Like there are VCs and other investors who will write much bigger checks than angels do. But what we do for you is we level you up, or we try to. So when you're pitching, really speak to the heart of the angel, but with a purpose. Think about your business. Think about that big vision you have for yourself and for your company. How do you level up? What kind of skill set do you need? And how do you attract this person? You're not paying for them. Don't worry about them. This is not about an employment agreement. This is about motivating the person and getting them on your side. Thank you.